Welcome back, guys,
Welcome back.
to This Feels Criminal.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're still This Feels Criminal.
Heyo, it's so exciting.
I
We're going to
know.
really lean into the This Feels Criminal format today because we are
Yes.
doing part 2 of our coverage of Sean Combs' The Reckoning, produced by Diddy. And also, this one's written by Mark. Hey, girl, thanks. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Mark.
But we are going to really dive into some very interesting things about juries, which Nikita
Yes.
has so very kindly put together. And you guys remember she's an attorney.
I mean, remember that, but also, like, you know, don't lean too heavily.
Well, this is not legal advice.
No pressure. This is not legal advice, for sure.
This is not legal advice. We should have named the show that.
This isn't legal advice. Yeah.
Like literally every day we're like, oh, we should name the show that. Okay. But we are going to get into that. So again, this is a 4-part docuseries. It is on Netflix. If you have not watched it, we highly recommend that. We are not going to give you every single solitary thing that is discussed in this. We're not going to recount every single solitary thing. So we suggest you watch it if you want all of the information. We're going to hit the high points in this episode so that we have time to really dive into some of these really interesting facts and, facts and information
Yeah.
about juries.
So let's just get to it. We start with more footage of Diddy. I think we're still 6 days out from the arrest at this time. He's just walking the streets, y'all. He is just out here. He's riding bicycles.
Yeah, what is it?
Like he's a bike messenger or something. It's wild.
And he looks like he is flying on that bicycle. I do not
know.
understand where he is going in such an absolute hurry.
I don't know. And he's taking pictures with fans. Like people are seeing him out, and they're like, "Oh my God, Diddy, pictures!" Baby. And so he's doing all that, and
It does seem like he's always very gracious with fans.
Well, yeah, because that's him getting attention.
Mm-hmm.
And if it gets him attention, then we have time for that.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
So, we will go ahead and just kind of jump in. At this point in the series or in his life, he's with Kim Porter now. Now, remember, he does have a son with Misa. That's his oldest son, Justin. Kim passed away. I don't remember when now, 2022, 2023, maybe.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly when. Also, where is Misa? We hear nothing about Misa.
I have no idea.
Other than like they had a kid together and then he gets with Kim and like that's it.
And that's that. Yeah. I don't know. But he and Kim have 3 kids together or 4. I can't remember.
I don't remember. They have a bunch of kids, I think.
Well, they've got twin girls and 1 boy maybe. So maybe it's just a 3. But he
Okay.
has another kid now too that's like 3 years old with a different girlfriend. Anyway, so at this point he is with Kim and everybody says Kim was like, had a real big like you mentality. I'm not here to be like something that you can use and just throw away and all that kind of stuff, right? And his team or his security guard says that he never saw Disney. Whew. So sorry. Never saw Diddy like punch her or anything like that or physically assault her. But he said, I would be outside the door and you would hear stuff in the room and it was like something's up, obviously. And then Kim would come out. Her face is red. Her hair's messed up, stuff like that. And they basically just start this off by saying like, once Diddy gets his hooks into you, he starts grooming you for whatever it is he's going to use you for.
Exactly. And you can say all day long, every day, I would never put up with that. I was raised different. I don't do blah, 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 blah. But I think that that's kind of the highlight here with Kim is everybody said she didn't take shit from anybody.
Yeah.
But when you are manipulated and groomed and just the things that happen when you're in a relationship with somebody this abusive, it can happen to anybody.
Yes. And I will say, like, they use the term grooming in this docuseries fairly often. And I would point out that grooming does not have to mean for sexual exploitation.
Right.
It is a lot in at least alleged in these circumstances in this docuseries, but it doesn't necessarily always mean that. Like there are some people in here who he quote groomed and I'm saying quote because this is alleged, I'm not implying that they're lying, but that there was not a sexual element that went along with the
Right.
abuse and the manipulation. So,
But you have
yeah.
to, somebody like this has to be very charismatic, but you also have to complete a grooming process so that
Yes.
this man stood outside the door and heard altercations and
Mhm.
saw the results of that
Yep.
and
And
did
never
not
stepped
say
in.
anything. Yeah, and
Exactly.
didn't step in. Yeah.
So we get to 1997. Biggie has passed away. Bad Boy Records is like rocket launched at this point, right?
Also, you have to think about that, right? Like,
Mhm.
this thing happened. It was a tragedy.
Yep.
Yet, man, did it pay off in dividends for his
Yeah.
record label.
And let's keep in mind, this isn't the first time that he's capitalized on a tragedy
Nope.
that he may or may not allegedly have orchestrated.
I mean, you have to wonder. The question has to be asked.
Yeah.
I think.
I
Allegedly.
I would agree. So Diddy, we told you last time, he's got this solo project coming up. So he's kind of like, hoping that's going to be the thing that really gets him in the limelight right now. He also at this time starts dating J-Lo. I think they date off and on for a while.
They do. They were together for kind of a long time.
I know, and I forget how long they were together.
Was he still puffy then?
I think so, yeah.
I think he was still Puff Daddy when he was with J-Lo. I don't remember when the
was.
Diddy thing switched. And I remember...
I feel like it was early 2000s maybe.
Yeah, because like
remember.
Puff Daddy and Puffy, those kind of went together. It was like
Yeah.
almost just like a nickname for the nickname. But then when he switched to Diddy, I was like, well, that's
then
stupid.
he was P. Diddy, and then he was just Diddy. Like, he's done a lot of name
And now
changing.
he's Love.
Love or something. I don't know. So he's dating J-Lo. There was the nightclub shooting in 1999. J-Lo was with him. Sean, this other artist that he had signed or was working with or whatever, was also there. A woman is shot in the face. She specifically identifies Diddy as the shooter.
Yeah, I saw him
Yeah.
point his gun and shoot me.
And he's big at this time. Like, he's a well-known person. Like,
Oh, yeah.
she couldn't, I mean, she could have mistaken him, correct? But arguably, he's a very identifiable figure. Like, I wouldn't look at someone who shot me and be like, that's a stranger. I'm just going to guess that it was Diddy. Like,
Yeah.
she was like,
Yeah.
no, it was him.
Yeah.
But of course he gets acquitted and Sean takes the fall for it. And they really kind of dig into this a little bit, but essentially he gets acquitted. He hires these high power attorneys and he sees it as another, like, it inflates his ego again because he's like, can't touch me. Like, it's wild.
Yeah, and that's how it works out for him literally every time. And this isn't Diddy's first felony charge. So months before the shooting, Diddy and his bodyguards assaulted I believe he was a record executive, Steve Stout, in his New York office. They were having a dispute related to a Nas music video, and Diddy wanted the video to be taken down, but Stout was like, I mean, it's already up, like, no.
Yeah.
And so he gets, beat to a pulp. I believe his arm and his jaw were broken.
Yeah.
All of these things, and they end up settling for $500,000, but he never...
Yeah, so he never goes to trial for that because they settle it out. So he was never convicted of that felony. Obviously, shooting someone in the face in a nightclub would be a felony. But he doesn't get charged with that. He's acquitted.
Yeah.
And they he's say like, that everything is wrong place, wrong time. I was just a victim of circumstances.
Exactly.
I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. How many times can you be in the wrong place at the wrong time before we have to start saying, that's strange?
What's our common denominator? What's our common denominator?
Either you're the unluckiest man in the world.
Exactly. And everybody around you seems to go to jail for all of these things that I didn't even know that was going to happen, and I didn't realize it was going on, and somebody was mistaken and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
You're close enough
Some-
to it that like all the people that were with you.
Yep. You somehow
Interesting.
seem to skate by it every single time.
Interesting.
It is interesting.
And it's causing artists to leave. They don't want to deal with this. They don't want to have the like, cloud of all of this chaos and conspiracy and all the trouble he's, getting himself into.
Well, and let's remember, they're probably not actually making money anyway.
Exactly.
He's promising them, yeah, we're gonna do this deal. I gave you the advance.
Mm-hmm.
The rest is, you just got to sell more records. You got to do whatever. Like the next one's really what's going to push us over the edge. So then they get caught in this loop of, it's one of those things where you're like, well, I've already put in this much time and effort. I don't want to give up that. I don't want it to feel like a waste. But at some point, you have to cut your losses.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's a tough decision to make. Obviously, I'm not trying to make light of that, but that is, again, an abusive, manipulative tactic is to get people into this cycle.
Yep. Because
even if one or two break out of it, okay, one or two did, but there are going to be so many people who are not, and you can keep adding people into it.
Exactly. And I remember thinking, like, probably late, like, I don't know, at some point in the 2000s, not early 2000s. But I remember at some point, hearing people use the term mogul when they would talk about him.
Yes.
And I remember going, how?
Yeah.
Because why? Because I can only name one Puff Daddy song. And it was I'll Be Missing You.
I was going to say the Diddy.
He's appeared on other songs with other artists, but they were not his songs. And I was like, how is he that rich? Like, how is he making this much money? I
actually thought about that too while I was watching this, and I was like, wait a minute, do I actually know any Diddy songs?
You certainly do not.
But I mean, besides I'll Be Missing You? Like,
nobody does.
What other songs do you have? I know you as a feature artist and as just like a public figure.
Yep.
I don't know what you do, sir. I'm not sure what your actual real life job is.
I remember when he came out with Sean John. Like, I know.
Yeah.
I knew that was a thing or whatever. But still, I remember at one point being like, well, why is he a mogul?
Yeah.
That feels like a word,
I wonder if he gave himself that title and just told everybody around him that they had to refer to him that way.
I don't know. He's got a ton of money though, but if you steal it from everybody around you, then I guess that works.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just crazy.
I don't know. Then we get to 2002. This is our Making the Band era.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we get Danity Kane. There's also Da Band, which I think was his first run at Making the Band. I don't know.
I think so.
This is where you see the infamous cheesecake incident. And yes, they do show it.
Yep.
So you got all that going on. We hear a lot from Aubrey Day in this. And she has been very outspoken against Diddy for a while, even before all of this stuff came on. And she essentially got blacklisted in everything.
Yeah. I think it's Aubrey O'Day.
What did I say?
Just Day.
Oh, I'm sorry. Aubrey O'Day. Yes. So she ends up getting blacklisted, and everybody does that thing where they're like, oh, she's crazy. Like, he obviously fired her because she's insane. Look at the things she's saying out here. It's wild. And we won't get super into it. Again, watch the documentary. There is a lot in here. But she does at some point read some of the emails that he sent to her while she was still part of Danity Kane.
They're disgusting.
Which I absolutely love Danity Kane.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, the emails were disgusting and suggestive, and they were very clearly him coming on to her and being sexually explicit. Yeah. She shuts him down multiple times, and he's like, okay, well, if you change your mind, come to the house, blah, 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 whatever. And she still refuses him, and she ends up getting fired. We see her get fired from Making the Band. And there's no real explanation to it other than she's bad for their image or whatever. But obviously behind the scenes now we kind of know why. Also at this time, Diddy is working on a separate project that he's going to do with a girl named Dawn, who was part of Danity Kane, and Kalina Harper. And this group that he's forming is called Dirty Money. And of course, he is
But I think he
the
called
center of it.
Diddy Dirty Money.
Diddy Dirty Money. Yes, you're right.
Which is...
It's Diddy dash Dirty Money. It's, I don't know.
It's akin to like, I feel like it's akin to like, because you can't give yourself a nickname. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Also, during this time that the whole Diddy Dirty Money thing is happening, he starts dating Cassie, who is an artist. And we talked about this part in one of our other episodes. Maybe it was on Patreon. I can't remember. When all of the Diddy stuff first kind of blew up, we did kind of a more deep dive into that. So we'll move along. But he starts dating Cassie, who is 19 at the time they started dating in 2006. There's also this weird dynamic going on with Dawn, who was one of the girls from the Diddy Dirty Money that had been in Danity Kane.
yeah.
They have like this, quote, weird relationship. They make reference to, you couldn't call it a relationship because Cassie was there. And so they kind of allude to the fact that Dawn wants to be Diddy's girl, but he's got Cassie. So like that's not really working out. Also, let's keep in mind, Kim Porter's still in the picture at this point.
They're still together.
They're still together.
Kids. They're now. Did they?
Yeah.
They never got married, did they?
No, they did not.
I didn't think so. I couldn't.
They were
remember.
on and off for a while, so they would like date for years, and then they'd be broken up for a while, and then they'd get back together, and it was like a very, very back and forth thing, right? But when Cassie first comes to Diddy, she has a boyfriend. She's dating this guy named Ryan Leslie, who is a music producer and who had been working with Diddy. So, of course, Diddy's like, oh, let me prove I'm better than you by stealing your girl.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who's 19 and he's...
Who's 19?
A lot older than that.
Also, in this time frame, he ends up getting his big Ciroc vodka deal. If you recall, the only reason I know about Ciroc vodka is because of Diddy, and
yes!
he pushed that everywhere.
He got like a huge deal, like a bonus if he could sell a certain amount of whatever, get a certain amount sold. And my God, was Ciroc everywhere. Is it even still a thing?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm like, because after like his partnership with it, it's like I never heard anything else about it again.
Well, you don't have to because you know it now, don't you?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Okay, so at this point too, people make reference to everybody knows he's with Kim. That's his quote wife, and Cassie is his quote wifey. And it got to the point where if Cassie was around, Kim wouldn't come around, and because Kim was like not here for it. But Diddy didn't want to let either of them go, and so he would like show up to events with Kim. Kim was the girl who came out to be shown off, right? Look at me in my stable partnership with my longtime love and the mother of my children. And, you know, honestly, performative. At this point, Kim is performative. And I'm not saying that she's doing it to be performative. I'm saying that Diddy is using her in a way that is performative.
Yeah.
And then just trying to like skate past this Cassie thing. But also, let's keep in mind, Cassie is one of Diddy's artists, which means if we historically know anything, she's not making money because he's not paying her. But what he is doing is paying all of her bills. He's taking her on trips. He's promising her, yep, your album is going to be the next one we do. Yours is next. You're up next. All of these things, right? Again, she's 19 and she's living this lavish lifestyle.
And she's got a 10-album deal with...
And she's got 10 albums is nuts.
Insane. And everybody was like, that's insane. Like, that's so many albums. Yeah. And she's only ever had one album that I know of.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember her hit, Me and You.
Yeah.
Loved it.
For perspective, Taylor Swift has 12 albums. Cassie was promised 10 up front.
Up front. Yeah.
Up front, she's promised 10 albums. That's almost Taylor Swift's entire discography.
Over the course of like 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because, and I'm not saying anything about her as an artist or anything like that, but what if nobody buys her music? What if, you know, she's not as successful as you think she's going to be? You've promised her 10 out. Like, obviously it was a very, like, I think that was one of those things that everybody on the inside was probably like, this is a setup and she doesn't know any better. Because, again,
Exactly.
she's 19.
And she's really young, and she probably trusted him and is like, but he's the biggest name, you know, in this industry, and like he can turn you into a star, and like I'm gonna sign with him because he knows what he's doing. Like I would be stupid to pass this up.
Exactly. Well, he's
he
the
preys on that.
gatekeeper. And yes, and he 100% preys on it. We get to 2009. They kind of go into some of the details, which they talk about in the trial. So if you're familiar with the charges in the trial, the guy in this, his name is Clayton Howard. He is the quote gigolo guy that I think he testified in the hearing in Diddy's trial, but he was like the main person that Cassie called whenever they were having these parties or freak offs or whatever it was.
Yeah, and he was part of it. He would see him all the time. He took part in this for 8 years.
Yeah, that's nuts.
And he saw some stuff.
Yeah. Well, and he says too, like it started off slow. He was like, this wasn't like the videos and the things that they're talking about and the things that you're seeing now in this trial. That's not how this started. Again, it's a grooming process. So he talks through that. There's a lot of information here that he gives about it. We won't get into all of it.
And he does. This is where we hear, I think, the name Frank Black for the first time. So he says that any of the medications that they would take were all in the name Frank Black. Like that's what all his prescriptions were in.
And so he uses the name Frank Black with Clayton to initially hide his identity when Cassie calling him and him coming over for these sex parties or whatever, he's initially trying to hide the fact that he's Diddy. And so he goes by this name, Frank Black. He uses a fake Southern accent, which I thought was interesting. And he like keeps his face covered. And yeah, it's a whole thing.
It's really yucky. I mean, consenting adults,
so
whatever.
Yucky.
He is very yucky. And I don't think that anybody really ever consented in anything with him, because once you peel back the layers, all of these people are like, whoa, I was so manipulated. I was kind of brainwashed, you know, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting point though. Clayton does say that every year on March 9th, which was the day that Biggie was murdered, they would have a party for 3 or 4 days. And he knew every year, March 9th, Cassie's going to call, they would fly him out to wherever it was they were, and they would have Biggie Day is what they called it, I think. And it would just be like 2 or 3, it was a bender, y'all. They were going on a bender for 2 or 3 days celebrating the life of Biggie Smalls. But really what it was an excuse for them to have debauchery, essentially.
Absolute debauchery.
Yep. And again, if you also recall, in his early days, Diddy was not a drinker. He did not do drugs. He did not like it. He didn't want to be around it. So yeah, so there's that. They do recall, somebody mentions that there was one day that he had an argument. This I'm going to touch on because I feel like it speaks to who he is as a person and the manipulation. One day him and Kim had gotten in an argument, and Diddy takes a bottle and he either breaks it or it was already open, but he's got broken, sorry. And he cuts his wrist, and there's debate, I guess, around whether Kim injured him or he injured himself. But
and whether that would have been on purpose.
Exactly. But he and I mean, he had to be bandaged. Like there was when he was out in public, it was noticeable. So he had to kind of like address it, I guess. And he denied that it was a suicide attempt or that it was caused by any altercation with a female. And he described it as like, oh, it was a freak accident. But, and of course they go to a private doctor for treatment. And this private doctor ends up prescribing pain meds to him. And he, at this point, becomes addicted to Percocet. So this is where I guess, what they're saying, his addiction started. But again, interesting that you were involved in a freak accident that everyone around you is suspicious of. That they're like,
Yeah, and characterizes differently.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
interesting that, no one else views this through the same lens as you. And
right.
again, everybody's perspective is different, right? You can only see things the way you
Mhm.
saw them. But when we pile that into the basketball thing, the nightclub shooting thing, Biggie and like all of it, like there's just like a lot of stuff that, man, bad things really just always seem to happen around you, you
Exactly.
know?
Exactly. How unfortunate for you.
So unfortunate.
Now, of course, again, we all know the infamous video from 2016 in the hotel where Cassie is trying to get away and he comes after her and there is an assault.
Yeah.
Um, so these things start coming out, obviously, but it's not until November 16th, 2023 that Cassie accuses him of physical throughout their 10-year relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and again, there are so many other women coming out too. Like there are other lawsuits.
Yes.
Um, again, over 100.
Yeah.
That's
This is one of those things like, okay, let's say some of those are people just looking for a payday, right? Because you got a lot of money, right?
mm-hmm.
Let's say some of those are false accusations and this is just a money grab and they're just piling on. That's not going to be all of them.
No,
And arguably, that would only be a small number of them, knowing the statistics of how many people actually file false claims.
exactly.
That many people all alleging the same or similar things is kind of difficult to look past.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not like two people are coming after you and those two people are actually really good friends and there are circumstances that would lead you to believe that they're conspiring again. Like, it's
Right.
not, these people don't know each other. Well, I mean, they might know each other because they were all arguably in Diddy's circle, but
Yeah.
they all have their own story. And the facts of their stories all have very similar elements
Mm-hmm.
that involve you.
Mm-hmm. And they have like in the instance with Clayton Howard, he knows the name on Diddy's prescription bottles.
Mm-hmm. How
How
would he
does
know that? Why would he
how
know
does
that?
he know that at that time? Like
Mm-hmm.
now, if somebody were to come out and be like, "Well, I was there because I saw this name." Okay, well, it's all over the place now. It's like but at the
Yeah.
at the
At the
time, I would
time,
assume that he was cooperating with law enforcement. I would not think that that
yeah.
was out there.
Honestly, this documentary is the first time I recall hearing anything about a Frank Black.
Yep, same. Yeah.
So it doesn't, I don't think that was widely known information. Perhaps I'm wrong, but I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
It just is
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. And we find out from Aubrey O'Day that she got the same kind of phone call that Joy did, where
Mm-hmm.
it's like, hey, there's a video. Basically, I think you should know. She was unaware of that. Because remember, the whole time she was working with him, she was denying his advances. He would not stop.
Mm-hmm.
He would not take no for an answer. Remember, he doesn't take no for an answer.
Exactly.
You don't tell him no. So you can say, no, thank you all day long. I don't think that's a good idea, or I'm not interested, or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
he's going to get whatever he wants one way or another. And then, to find out something like that, I mean, it's obviously devastating. And she really kind of comes to the conclusion that she doesn't remember it happening. And she's like, I don't know if it happened and I don't want to know.
Yeah.
And it's just so sad. Like all of
It
these
is so
people,
sad.
anybody around him has either, he just leaves a wake of destruction. I mean,
100%. Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah. There is some more like, I guess we could call it present day footage. And this is not necessarily relevant, but I'm going to talk about it because I was like, what a like, I knew you were a person, but like this part made me think you're such a person. So there is footage. Remember, he's being followed around by a camera crew for whatever reason. And he had been out like shaking hands with people, like fans wanted to take pictures, all of this other stuff, right? He finally gets in the car and he's like, man, somebody's got to give me some hand sanitizer. I almost said sanitizer. I mean, sanitizer, because that's what my kids call it. I need some hand sanitizer. I gotta get back to the room and shower. Like I've been out here with the people, and like, listen, you have been shaking hands with a lot of people and that's gross. And I get it. And like, I would want hand sanitizer too, but like he says it in such a derogatory, negative way. And I'm also at the same time like, sir, don't you want that? Isn't that your whole life goal, to be the center of attention?
Exactly. He wants to be the center of attention, but he also doesn't.
You're beneath him.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be associated with regular people, the poors, like
exactly.
And is there somewhere in here where he just likens himself to Jesus, or is that?
Yes, no, he definitely does. There's more footage of him talking in his hotel room, whatever. And you like hear him in this footage say several times, God told me to do nothing, so I got to do what God told me to do, and I'm not going to do nothing. I can't do anything. God told me no. And his son Justin is in the hotel room with him, and Justin says, like, you mean we can't do anything? And he says, well, God told me I couldn't do anything. You need to talk to God about what you can do, or like something along those lines.
Yeah, and I'm kind of remembering this now too. The emails that he sent, I think, to Aubrey, at the end of them, didn't he sign something like God
bless, or
yeah. After he emails her, I'm gonna go watch some porn and masturbate and think of you, and then he's like, God's boy, God bless.
Yeah.
To God goes all the glory, or something. Oh, like,
yeah, it's something.
Ew.
Something.
What is
crazy.
happening?
Yeah. So we also start to hear a lot from Capricorn Clark in this part. It turns out she was friends with Suge Knight's, the mother of Suge Knight's child.
Yes.
And that is how she ends up meeting Diddy, because if you recall from episode 1, Suge and Diddy had been friends at one point. Wasn't he his bodyguard at some point or something like that, or security for Diddy?
Maybe.
I can't exactly remember, but they were friends or friendly, at least at some point. But anyway, that's how we get to Capricorn Clark. We'll start to hear more from her. And they pointed out that in June 2022, Diddy got the Lifetime Achievement Award at the BET Awards. Blech.
That did not age well.
Yeah. And at this time, people are also like hailing him as, because the video's out at this point, and like they're just trying to keep a man down, and you know, whatever. It's weird.
It's all super weird. We do find out from Capricorn Cap that so Diddy gets arrested for his racketeering, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. And that's when Homeland Security searched his hotel room and they cataloged everything. Obviously, all the infamous, like when they did all these raids, there's like 1 million billion zillion bottles of baby oil, which he tried to say, well, you don't know, maybe I bulk shop at Costco.
Yeah.
And Costco was like, and no, sir, keep our name out of your mouth. You did not get that at Costco.
Yeah.
But that's where they find the drugs and, you know, Frank Black's name, like all that kind of stuff. He also ends up contacting witnesses that would be in this case that he has not talked to in many, many, many years leading up to his, like. So they're looking at some witness tampering there too, because he's trying to get back, you know, in with people. But Cap says that there was a time that apparently there was an incident with her, Cassie, Diddy, and Kid Cudi. So like she was friends with Kid Cudi. So was Cassie, I guess. I mean, it did seem like maybe they had something going on. I don't know.
I think they had a relationship.
That's the vibe.
In one of her and Diddy's off times.
Yeah. And Cap said, she's like, I told Cassie, like, he can cheat on you. You're not allowed to cheat on him. Like, and Cap worked for him for like 8 years. So there was a time that they were going to go hiking or something. And Diddy finds out about it and he's freaking out. And he kidnaps Cap and says, we're going to go to Cuddy's house and we're going to kill him. And all of these things. And she ends up testifying to this at the trial. And she says, and when she's talking about this, either she's a really, really good actress or she's telling the truth. I believe her. Yeah. Especially knowing that Kid Cudi's car got blown up.
Yeah.
There was a lot about Diddy having to do with that. Like, we know that this is what he does. Literally everybody around him that he ends up having any slight beef with gets shot, gets killed, gets attacked, whatever. So, but she was like, I could tell that the jurors just did not believe me at all.
I know. And that was insane to me. Again, and we're going to discuss juries at length. And you're going to be pissed off about juries too. Or you should be.
The trial started on May 12th, 2025. It was 7 weeks long with 3 days of jury deliberation. He was acquitted of racketeering and he was found guilty on the lesser charges of transportation to engage in prostitution. And this is when we meet 2 of the jurors.
Yeah, we do. And there's something. So we meet juror 75. So she says, like, she's a Diddy super fan, y'all.
Yes.
I mean,
she's like, I mean, I wasn't a fan of him. She's like, I mean, I watched every show that he was on and I loved every song that he appeared in and I loved all of the artists that he managed and produced, but I
wasn't a fan.
But I didn't care about him.
Yeah. She also says, like, well, they tried to say that they announced one day they were going to throw him out of court and hold him in contempt if he didn't stop trying to, like, engage with the jury. She was like, but he didn't engage with us. Like, like we would look over at him and sometimes he'd be looking at us and, like, he would make faces at us. And, like, a couple of times he would be nodding his head, like, and doing his eyebrows, like, yeah, did you see that? Did you hear that? Yeah, yeah. And she was like, but he wasn't trying to, like, sway us. And I was like, girl,
that
is 100% what that means.
You just explained that in detail. Yeah. And she's like, but the faces he was making, I mean, it was like, you could tell he's like, are you listening to this? Can you believe what they're saying right now? She's like, but I was already thinking that anyway, so it didn't sway me.
Yeah. No, but it definitely bolstered or solidified your process. No.
And he's not allowed to do that.
He's not allowed to do that. So yeah, that's juror 75, Diddy super fan. Okay. Then the other, she also believes that justice has been served in this case. And then we hear from juror 106, and this is an older gentleman. He says he had no idea who Diddy was. And that was...
Which, okay, like, but we're going to find out he has some other thoughts and feelings that were less than helpful.
Yeah. So, okay, let's just go through the rest of that, and then we'll circle back to them and their opinions, okay? Throughout the trial, Diddy has a PR team outside of the courthouse, right? And they're seeing, like, bloggers out there and, like, YouTubers and TikTokers, and they're approaching them. His team, Diddy's team, is approaching them and saying, hey, we want to give you a copy of the transcript, because they're getting a copy of the transcript every single day. And they're like, we want you to have it, and we're going to go through it, and we're going to highlight the things that we think are important that we think you should report on. Okay. That's happening because, remember, no cameras are allowed inside. They do let a few, like, select people in, but you weren't allowed to video record, like, none of that. Okay. So all of the information that is being reported out is secondhand, essentially. Yep. And so his team's out there. They're trying to shape the narrative already by saying, let us get in front of it. Let us PR all the people that are out here. Because there are people standing outside the courtroom who are either in support of Diddy or not in support of Diddy, who are just waiting for any bits of information that's potentially going to come to them.
And they're not offering the entire transcript. They're offering the highlights that they choose.
Correct. So his team is out there doing that already. This jury was not sequestered, which we will talk about when we wrap this up because I have big feelings about that.
Mm-hmm.
They were instructed, you're not supposed to be on social media. You're not supposed to watch the news. You're not supposed to talk to anyone about this case, blah, 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 whatever. Okay. And Kirk, if you remember him from episode 1, believes that when Diddy realized that this jury was not going to be sequestered, that he saw an end and he took it. And based on everything else that we've learned about him so far, I 100% believe that to be accurate.
Yeah,
because who else has a press team out there?
Exactly. He's got a PR team, and he knows that these jurors have access to the internet, and he can put that stuff out on all kinds of places.
Yep.
And make sure that they see it.
Because, I mean, you couldn't avoid it. No matter what you looked at, no matter where you turned, even if you didn't want to hear it, it was there. So we know they questioned Cassie. They also questioned Cap. I don't remember if Joy was part of this lawsuit or not. But anyway, 2 of the big witnesses were Cassie and Cap, obviously.
But they called Cassie the ringleader.
Yeah.
The jurors, they called Cassie the ringleader of all this stuff because they were like, well, she kept going back and she's the one that was making the calls to the people to set the stuff up. I'm like, okay, somebody didn't do a good job of explaining coercive control.
Exactly. And get this, in a shocking turn, Juror 75, who is our lifetime supporter of Diddy, says, well, we would see stuff online about something that happened in court, and none of that was true at all. And I was like,
you're not supposed to be seeing that.
Not on the internet, girl.
I know. I really wonder, like, I mean, I guess you can't, like, as the prosecution, you can't go back and do anything, but, like, if there's an acquittal, but, like, this is very clearly, she admitted that he was making faces at them and that she was seeing those and that she agreed with those facial, like, he was communicating with them. And then also, like, oh, I was seeing this stuff and it wasn't true at the time. Again, you're not supposed to have seen that.
Yeah. Then we also hear some very great news and opinions from Juror 106, who was the older gentleman. And he said that Cassie and Diddy's relationship was a two-way street and she could have just left. He says, quote, you cannot clap with one hand. And he said that the jury was confused because he would beat her one day and then the next day they were going out to dinner and going on trips. Sir, that is an abusive relationship.
Exactly.
It just...
He's like, well, she could have left. She should have left. Okay, well, he has complete and total financial control over her, by the way.
Exactly. Yep.
He has made it so that is the case. He is incredibly abusive. What do you think? Again, these are the statistics that, like, this jury should have been made aware of. Maybe the judge didn't let it in. I don't know. But, like, there is so much more danger when a partner in an abusive relationship is trying to leave.
Yeah.
The odds of them getting seriously hurt or killed go up substantially. And it takes an average of, what, like 7 times to leave? Like, it's just...
Yeah. Well, and I also wonder, I mean, obviously we don't know what wasn't allowed in the trial. And Kirk Burroughs even says, like, the jury's got the highlight reel of all of this stuff with Diddy. So to them, it looks like overnight all of this stuff happened. But really, it had been building for a long, long time. They just don't know that, right? And also, I wonder, too, what got kicked out, because a lot of the stuff with Cassie, not all of it, but a lot of it, had to do with domestic violence. That's not a felony. Well, I mean, it can be a felony.
That's not what he was charged with.
But that's not what he was charged with. And federal prosecutors don't go after domestic violence. There's not a federal law against it, right? That's a state issue. So I don't know how much they could bring in. Even though I would argue, like, telling you about the statistics of domestic violence, telling you about these things is to bolster her credibility.
Yeah, it goes to her credibility, and it goes to this is why. Because clearly they had the view that why didn't she just leave? And if she had not been comfortable with this, he couldn't have been her, even though she was high off her ass on so many drugs over multiple days and stuff like that. And she wasn't allowed to go anywhere after some of these parties because she wasn't allowed to show her bruises and blah, blah, blah. But okay.
Mm-hmm.
But she wasn't being because she was in a relationship with him and
Yeah.
that can't,
Well, it's like the whole,
can't happen.
it's the same mentality of, well, you can't your spouse. Like it's essentially that argument.
Exactly. And that did not become a law until the 90s.
Yeah. And a lot of these witnesses feared retribution.
Mm-hmm.
They say they were afraid to testify and that they're still afraid because powerful people can do scary things.
Mm-hmm.
And he has done scary things. And they say he is devious. He is calculating. He is a master manipulator. And in many ways, he is soulless. So they don't think Diddy's going to show up at their door and kill them. But they think one of Diddy's guys might.
Yeah.
You know, and we see in other kinds of cases all the time, people can still run gangs or control empires or do all of these things from inside jail.
Absolutely.
The fact that he's in jail does not mean anything.
Mm-mm. No.
So that's kind of where the doc ends. So let's talk about juries for a minute. Okay. So the jury process, like obviously jurors are called in, you're part of a pool, and then they go through the selection process. People are able to be like, you're able to kick people out.
Mm-hmm.
And you get 4 calls. You can kick somebody out for calls. There's no limit to how many of those you get. Okay. So you can say, oh, this person said something like, well, I'm a huge fan and I wouldn't convict him even if you proved it to me. Like,
right.
I can kick you out for that and I don't have to explain why. Like, that's whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There are also peremptory challenges, and that will allow an attorney to get rid of a certain juror without stating a reason. And you only get a limited number of these. And these are typically used for like when you have you're just like, something's not right. I don't know exactly what it is, but like, I just don't feel good about you. I can kick you out. So you usually only get a limited number of those, and those can be challenged. It's called a Batson challenge. And if that happens, you have to give a basis for your elimination of that juror that doesn't have anything to do with race, gender, or other protected categories. So essentially the purpose of the Batson challenge is to be like, you can't kick at the time that this Batson was a court case. At the time that it happened, it was established so that you couldn't kick all like black people off of a jury, right? And just be like, well, I'm using a peremptory challenge. I don't have a reason, but yeah. I used all of my reasons to only kick off those kinds of people, right?
Exactly.
And
yeah,
I don't mean those kinds of people, but you know what I mean? Like in the context of
why
this came about.
My peremptory challenges happen to all include like people that look similar. But that's not why I'm kicking them off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
but
then
that makes me wonder about Juror 75 because she definitely seems like a super fan and she seems like she was very enamored with him.
Yeah.
How did she make it through? Did she just...
That's my question as well. Maybe she played it cool.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I don't know. Like when you're on jury selection though, you also don't know what the case is about. She couldn't have known,
if in a situation
she could have not
like that,
known who it was.
Yeah.
They would have
probably
alluded,
up until a certain point, right? Because I know, like
Yeah.
with the Lori Vallow case, one of her cases, because she's had several, it was definitely the one in Arizona. She argued, one of the ones in Arizona. She argued with the judge about his jury questionnaire, the survey that he had sent out first, and she was mad that it had her name in it. Because she was like, well, you're dwindling down the amount of people that could come in. Yeah. Because what if they hear my name and they've heard about me and they already know, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay, but if I don't include your name, then this process takes exponentially longer. Yeah. Because all of these people might come in and then be like, oh, well, I already know who she is and I already think she's guilty. Well, that doesn't do us any good. We need to know off the front end if they know who you are.
It could have been something like that. And it could have just been where she was like, you know, we're getting down to the wire and we've got to have so many jurors and so many alternates. Can you be impartial? And she said yes, and they believed her.
And she said yes, yeah.
You know? So there's that.
I would disagree strongly with that, but yeah.
I would agree too. My biggest beef with this jury is that they weren't sequestered.
What a decision.
What a decision.
I mean, and that's
Okay.
a long trial. 7 weeks is a long time.
Yeah. So oftentimes a lot of high profile cases those juries will not get sequestered. It's not always practical, right? And it is burdensome, and you don't know how long it's going to take necessarily.
Right.
This trial lasted for 7 weeks. So that means if they sequestered this jury for 7 weeks, they would have to essentially house and feed these people. These people would be away from their families. They would be away from their jobs. They would be away from all of the things, right?
Yeah.
They would be put up in a hotel, not allowed to talk to anybody except themselves. So that's why they don't do it a lot, even in high profile situations. But, and they give you the whole spiel about don't be on the internet, don't be on social media, don't watch the news, don't read the newspaper, like all of that kind of stuff. Don't talk to anybody about what's going on.
Yeah.
And essentially they rely on you, honor code to do
they're not
that.
verifying that.
They're not verifying it. And I mean, they'll ask and they'll remind you every day and blah, blah, blah.
Ask,
but like, you know.
And if it's a situation where like you bring up something to another juror might rat you out essentially, which is what they should do.
Yeah.
But if it is a situation where just every day before court, they're like, okay, guys, did you look up anything on the news? Did you peruse social media and see anything about the case?
Yeah.
They're going to take your answer at
face value.
your word. Yeah. And if nobody else knows, then they won't know.
Exactly. And it's up to the judge to decide if they're going to be sequestered or not. And again, they typically won't unless they can show, especially in like a lengthy trial like this, that there's a really strong risk of prejudice or tampering. I would argue there's a huge risk of that based on everything we know about him. And in Cardi B fashion, if you just look outside the courtroom, the effing PR team is out there every damn day.
Yeah.
Every day his PR team is out there.
Yeah. This is
handing
a defendant.
out transcripts.
Yes,
yeah, like
this is a defendant with enough money to hire a PR team just for his trial. Where do you think that information is going? It's going on the internet.
Exactly. I would argue that was the wrong call in this case. I think the jury was heavily influenced.
Yeah.
Whether they did their best to stick to the rules or not, there's no way going home every single day for 7 weeks, being home on the weekends, that you did not hear something about this. Like it's
such a big name that our young children have come home from school over the last year and then they've said the name Diddy. I'm like, they don't know about Diddy from me. I'm not talking about Diddy with them. Like, even little kids at school know about this. Like, come on.
Yeah. So I think that was a mistake in this trial. That's just my opinion, is that they didn't sequester the jury, and I don't think that was the right move. Another potential hang up is jury instruction. Okay. So it is the judge's responsibility to provide the jury instructions to the jury. And this happens after all of the evidence has been presented and before they go to deliberate. So the last thing they hear is the jury instruction. Part of the jury instruction is the judge explaining the legal standard that the jury must use. So defining what beyond a reasonable doubt means, or whatever the standard is, right? This is a criminal case, so it's beyond a reasonable doubt. They also are supposed to explain the jury instructions, which are, he's been charged with this crime. Here are the elements of this crime. In order to charge him with that, we have to have proven that he did all of these things, right? So he does that. And attorneys do get to weigh in. They get to make suggestions or propose rules and instructions to the judge, but the judge is ultimately who is responsible for communicating that to the jury and who is responsible for deciding which instructions they get. Okay.
And it's a lot of information at one time.
It is a lot of information.
And for lay people, that is very difficult. You know, we don't know legal jargon. We don't know. And they, you know, they try to make it as easy to understand, I guess, as possible. But in the cases that, like, the trials that I've watched, which, again, they're state trials, they're clearly not federal trials, it takes the judge about an hour to read through all of these things.
Yeah.
That's so much information at one time. They hear the whole case before they get this information, and they're like, now go deliberate.
Exactly. And they do try to keep directions, instructions, all of that pretty straightforward and simple where they can. And a lot of times jurors will get a written copy of it as well, so they can, like, go back and look at it. And sometimes jurors are allowed to submit questions back to the judge, like asking for clarification or explanation or whatever, right? And then the judge will address those questions in open court. So I saw an article or two that mentioned that not 2 or 3 hours after the jury goes back to deliberate, they've already got questions about one of the charges. I think it was about the drug distribution or something, asking something about, like, well, if someone asks for drugs and you give them to them, does that count as distribution? So, like, they're asking for these clarifying questions or whatever. And I think the response back was just something like, you have the elements of the crime. Just
you have all the information you need.
You have all the information. Just keep deliberating, right? If the jury doesn't understand the instructions,
right,
how can we expect them to come to the correct conclusion based on the evidence? And so, I mean, we don't know what all evidence was presented. Like, I have so many questions. If the court didn't prove, or if the prosecutor didn't prove the RICO charges and the and all of that stuff, if those things weren't proven, he absolutely should have been acquitted of those things.
Yes.
However, we've got 2 jurors just in this documentary, one who says, well, she could have left if she wanted to, therefore I didn't find her to be credible. Okay, that her relationship with him is not relevant to that.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there was some bias there already. Even the girl says she didn't believe them because I don't remember why.
She just said it was all hard. It was just hard to believe. It just didn't make any sense.
She was like, it just doesn't make any sense that someone would, like, do that to you because you're in a relationship with them. Why would they do that to you? And it was like,
well, I'm so happy for you.
Obviously this went way over your head.
Yeah, I'm happy for you that you don't have to understand that.
Agreed.
Or you don't have to believe that that's possible, but girlfriend, it's possible. And it happens.
And also the whole story that we just told you about how he's manipulating people for the purpose of gaining money and control. What do you mean you can't believe? Why would he do this? He would do this to, again, gain power by manipulating and controlling you. That's the whole premise of everything that we're setting up. I will say RICO charges are very difficult to prove. Yeah. They just are. No matter how much evidence you have, they're just difficult, right? Because a lot of it can be subjective. But I feel like we've got 2 jurors here who were very clearly brought in their biases, which we all have them and we all do. But we've got one guy who's like, well, if you didn't leave in a relationship that you said was so bad, well, now I don't believe you, because if it was that bad, you would have just left.
Right.
So now I don't think anything you say is credible.
And you must have enjoyed all of it, and you must have consented to taking part in it, and you must have actually been the ringleader.
Exactly.
Are you kidding me?
And then we have another girl who's like, well, I just can't imagine that he would ever do that. I've listened to his music. I've been a fan for years. He wouldn't do that. Like, girl, you don't know him.
Okay, right. You don't know him.
And let's think about all of the things that you're being told about him by the number of people you're being told them by. Like, how many witnesses did they have that had the same or similar stories?
Yeah.
It's wild.
And you have to believe that they are all lying versus that.
Yeah. Are 15 people all saying the same thing lying? Or is one person saying the opposite lying?
Yeah. Or is one person saying they're all lying?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. But that is why juries jury trials are such a gamble
Yeah.
because you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know who's coming in to that jury pool. You don't know what biases they have. And like, yes, there is a selection process. So we are able to like try to vet out some of those things, but it's a wild card every single time because you can have all of the evidence. You could have presented it beautifully. You could have tied a little bow around it and said, here it is. It's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't understand the instructions, or if their little brain goes wild and interprets those instructions differently,
Mm-hmm.
well, now it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. And we also know, I mean, we've seen it in lots of cases where jurors after the fact will say, you know, well, we were deliberating on a Friday afternoon and everybody was like, you better wrap this up now because I'm
Yeah.
ready to go home and it's the weekend and I want to be done with this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, this many people are going to vote this way and me or one other person or however many people are the
Yeah.
holdouts. And so we gave in because,
Exactly.
you know,
And that's the thing too. Like, okay, I know you want to go home on a Friday. It's a long weekend, but someone's life, their future is dependent on you making the correct decision.
and justice is in the balance.
Exactly. Like, this is not a light responsibility.
No, it's not. It's really not. And
Yeah.
again, I understand that. Like, I understand that that's difficult. I understand that it is cumbersome. I understand, you know, all the
Yeah.
things. Like, it is an absolute, like, honorable thing to
Yes.
do. But if you're going to do it, you've got to do it.
Yeah. Well, and I think another issue I think of that comes to mind is that a lot of people see the law as black and white.
Mm.
It's right or it's wrong. It's yes or it's no. It's this or it's that. And it's not. There's so much gray area. There's so much nuance. There's so many things that go into it. And if you don't have a jury that is willing to look at that, willing to accept that, willing to see the full picture and not just the yes, no, black and white part of it, then what are you supposed to do? Also, these are like complex legal topics that we're
Yeah.
asking people to weigh in on. And like, I'm not on juries. They do have a place, right? But there are some countries that they have professional jurors.
Mm-hmm.
It's somebody's only job is to be a juror. And
Right.
they have to train for it. Like, you have to know how to be a professional juror
Yeah.
for
And I
these
do,
reasons.
yeah, I think that that is my hope for just how popular true crime has gotten.
Yeah.
Is that we will, as Americans, become better jurors because there are
Yeah.
so many things that, again, just inherent biases of police wouldn't arrest somebody who didn't do anything wrong.
Mhm.
If you're sitting in the defendant chair, you're guilty.
Yeah.
You know, prosecutors are the good guys. A lot of times they are. That's not always the case.
Yeah.
There's just all these things and like things that we've heard because of watching shows like CSI or whatever. And you think that all
Yeah.
of these types of evidence, bite mark evidence, footprint evidence, tire
Yeah.
print evidence, all of that is like locked in. Hair analysis, like there are just all kinds of things that once you actually like learn how it really works,
Yeah.
or even the, you know, well, he got a lawyer, so you must be guilty.
Mm-hmm.
No, that is not the case. So it's like there are so many things that we have to learn how things work, and just the way that attorneys ask certain questions and you know, like you'll hear in a court case all the time, the judge will say, questions are not evidence. Questions are not evidence. But you absolutely take some of those questions because they know that they're not going to get that answer. And sometimes they know they're not even supposed to ask the question, but they will ask
Yeah.
the question. Now it's out there.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
yes,
and
we
that
can
could
strike
be,
that from the record, but you've heard it now.
but you've heard it. You can't, you can't,
You
the
can't unhear it.
toothpaste doesn't go back in the tube. And that it could have been a situation where like his defense attorneys might have said stuff to, you know, Cassie or to other people. Well, why didn't you just leave? Or why didn't she just, you know, like
Yeah.
you can put that. I'm not saying that they did that. I don't know. But I'm just saying like there are questions that that can influence the jury too. And like, if you don't know any of those things, you don't,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
just don't know to ask those questions sometimes or even think about it in that way. And I do hope that I do hope that over time we become more savvy jurors, because I think that on both
people's lives
sides
are
of
on
the
the
coin,
line.
yeah, on both sides of the scales of justice, there are wrongs that need to be,
Yeah.
corrected moving forward.
Yeah. And there's no perfect system out there of how to do it that I know of. And like I said, there is a purpose for a jury. I get it.
Yeah.
But we have to take into account that our jurors are human.
Mm-hmm.
So there will be human error. And now you've got 12 humans.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then you also have to think too, like this girl who was like the Diddy super fan, I bet she was just excited. She just wanted to be part of it. I mean, and there are jurors out there. There are people out there who, oh my God, I got called for jury duty. This is the most exciting day of my whole life. I just want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of the story. Now I've got firsthand information that other people don't have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the know. I'm in the loop. So like, you're contending with those things too.
Right.
You know, and like not to be like disparaging of people or the general population or anything, but like you're going to have a cross section of the community there, which is what jurors are supposed to be, at least when jury trials first started. That was the point. But like you've got different levels of sophistication across 12 jurors. You've got different socioeconomic backgrounds. You've got different religious backgrounds. You have people whose moral compass and ethical beliefs are on the spectrum all across the board.
Right.
And you've got to get them to all come to the same conclusion. And some people are just happy to be here. Some people just want to go home. There's so many like dynamics and things at play that a jury trial would be terrifying to me.
Yeah, I have also,
no matter how solid I thought my case would.
Sometimes that just doesn't matter. Like, no matter how solid your case is, it sometimes just does not matter because of some of those inherent biases. And like I've seen in, some cases where, especially where I thought a jury would vote a certain way because they had like, if it was a case where a woman was on trial and, maybe it had something to do with an abusive relationship or this, that, or whatever it may be. I'm like, oh, well, they've got X the number of women on the jury. That will probably help. Yeah. But it turns out the other way because a lot of times, like, and I don't remember what case it was, but I remember reading after that they said that when they, polled the jury, that the women were actually the ones that, disliked this woman the most. And it was like, women tend to be harder on other women as far as a jury goes. Or, people of like just certain backgrounds where you would think like, oh, well, they would be with this defendant. Yeah. Because they have a similar upbringing or whatever. It's like sometimes they're actually harder on the defendant because of that. And like, there are just those things too that like the psychology of it is. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you and I talked about this. There's a whole field of study it's under forensic psychology, but it's legal psychology. And they just study juries and how jury psychology. Right. Just all of it. Courtroom psychology, like how all those things works. Yeah. It's huge. And it's wild, and it's, I don't know, understudied maybe, like, it's, there are just so many dynamics at play, and to think, to give your future over to 12 people who you don't know anything about, and just hope for the best, what a risk.
What a risk. And for Diddy, man, if it didn't pay off.
Of course it did.
Man, if it did not pay off.
I mean, my only hope is that through this, a lot of people have hopefully had their eyes opened, I guess.
Yeah.
To see
definitely
beyond the facade. But I don't know.
But that's it.
That's it.
That's the new doc. Let us know if you watched it. Let us know what you thought. And let us know if you have any interesting tidbits about juries too, because it's very interesting.
It is. And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.